Hello everyone and welcome to your horoscope for the week of September the 12th to 18th, 2022. We have a very active sky and this is a week where we start navigating further into Mercury retrograde season, what it means for us personally, but also what it means collectively as well, because this is where it matters from both sides. Fortunately or unfortunately, fortunately mostly because we need to solve issues, we need to solve everything that we have left behind from the recent past, especially Virgo stuff, service in our lives. So the service providers who we need in our lives, and very many times those are institutions. Virgo is not an earth sign, which is normally directly linked to institutions, but even Virgo has a Capricornian deacon in her, so to speak, so she does need to, at certain times, resolve issues pending from institutions. Because, as I said, that is also a form of service. But if we are the ones who offer the service professionally or in another area of our lives, for example, parenting, for example, charitable work, etc., yet it's still a service. We might be called to perform at our very, very best, but we might have a lot of surprises, pleasant surprises, rewards, and even moments which might feel fortunate or inner drive, inner calling, epiphanies, urge to act perhaps, which also might seem rather fortunate, but I might say that perhaps fortune or luck is not really the determining factor here. It is more like a powerful, now this is a little bit absurd, powerful empowerment, which I wanted to say, but like a strong, intense feeling of empowerment, which of course leads to result, leads to success, leads to, let's say, perhaps a synchronicity. Yet, is it truly a totally random synchronicity, or is it one generated by your, let's say, goals? Because Mars is also very active this week, and not necessarily just in a bad way. And that's the good side of this energy. And also, we are freshly after a Pisces full moon, so there is a lot of things we need to process within ourselves. There is a lot of psychological energy at play here. For other people, there might be a lot of nostalgic energy that plays a really important part. Why nostalgia? Because that's how your inner being communicates with you. When there is a similar cycle that it's taking place in your life, perhaps, maybe your being, your inner forces, your inner world, your higher self, let's say your unconscious, might be signaling this to you by a powerful nostalgic moment, a memory, something from the past. As I said, this can also be a quite powerful alchemical and healing and transformative moment as well, because of the Plutonian presence, Pluto sextile laying Neptune, the sheer alchemical power. But whatever clarity is reaching us right now from within, or wherever our inner being is guiding us, that can be a moment or a state of clarity which gives us the direction, which gives us the strength perhaps to make certain upcoming choices, decisions, options, preferences, to speak our truth, to express ourselves, which will shape our future. And at this Mercury retrograde season, of course, all of that also goes for the recent past. If there's something that we need to take care of, or something big that we've been working on and also planning it for quite some time now, we might need to execute it at the time of this Mercury retrograde season. So this is a tricky one because it's not good for brand new, fresh, out of the blue things on your behalf for you to initiate. But it's good for, you know, taking something which is already initiated to its new phase, like a moment of completion, works in progress. It's absolutely good for that. And of course, this is where the Mercury retrograde season begins in partnerships, in Libra contracts, services. You weigh the pros and cons, officially, legally, in alliances, but of course in any kind of partnership. So this is where we start weighing, we start perceiving the small details, and then when Mercury is going to go in Virgo, that might hit the technology, the emails, the communication, the internet, the more down to earth material stuff, and also health. So, for example, if we make some appointments now, maybe when Mercury is in Virgo, retrograding back into Virgo, we'll get to the going to it and the treatment part or the expertise part. It's also a good period for second opinions, a second expertise. By all means, a third expertise, but it's really good for a multi-dimensional perspective. I'm sorry. And also, at the very beginning of the week, we have a Sun quincunx Saturn. Sun in Virgo and Saturn in Aquarius. This is mental, this is cerebral, this is intellectual energy. Yes, this is the nitty-gritty. This is the fine details. This might be the Virgo-like hair splitting, but this is where, of course, for some people it can lead to anxiety and overthinking and a lot of unnecessary brainstorming and, the Virgo stuff. Because Aquarian energy also has a certain part of that in the background, running in the background, just that it's not necessarily mercurial, it's more Uranian, but higher octave of Mercury, so what are we speaking about here? Anyway, but you can also, how should I say, project your most Saturn constructive thoughts, that which you desire to accomplish or to overcome, into the nitty-gritty. See the positive of all things, see the progress, the potential rather than the obstacle. This is how this quincunx can turn into a blessing, if you like, because it really opens your eyes under this Mercury retrograde season. And it's also internal energy, so listen to internal forces, to your own common sense, to your own intelligence. But of course, don't listen when you just know it's steering you wrong. And Saturn in Aquarius, friends and social connections, simply said. Who's the good advice person? Who's the not so good advice person? You have both in one package, so to speak. So, Saturn, quincunx, Virgo, you need to figure it out which is the good part of the advice and which you need to put in the trash, and in the mental trash, so to speak. Because chances are friends, society, connections, even on the internet, can give you both good and bad, so you need to filter it out. Another energy which is kind of delicate is the increasing square. Let me show you, of Venus at 8 degrees at the beginning of the week, so 12th of Virgo, and Mars at 12 degree of Gemini. So Venus will progress in the sign of Virgo, so the square is going to get tighter. Now, of course, this can be disappointment, but this can also be an internal energy where we need to make certain choices. Let's say Mars in Gemini, and then there comes Venus in Virgo. Which is better? And then there's so many dimensions that we have to add to it, because the Sun is in Virgo as well, which means everything Virgo goes, every side of Virgo. But then Venus's presence, and Venus being the star of the celestial conversation, because, Mercury, the ruling planet of Virgo, is in Venus's sign of Libra, so yeah. But then how do we feel about it? How does the other one feel about it? How does even the professional themselves feel about it? Why professional? Because when certain times you need to solve a situation, buy something, fix something, ask for something, who do you ask? You need to weigh it. Practicality, but then morality, but then this and that, then your own standards, then their standards. So this is why this can be a very, very complex and useless, really, energy, really waste of mental energy and waste of time energy. Because you can imagine, where does this lead you? Nowhere really. It will still be a coin flipping at the end. But the square, extreme boldness and coin flipping from the start is also not a good idea. Risking is not a good idea. Risking, as I said, I have this need, I have this problem, am in need of this professional lawyer, accountant, whatever, but I'm not really gonna flip the coin. To begin with, if I get really nowhere, maybe if I have really no other choice, the prayer of serenity with Mars, then yeah, that's the universe. Maybe the universe is telling me that it already took care of it, so just let me just go with the flow. But perhaps I'm gonna make some really wise choices and even learn from my internal decision making process, and that is the wisdom of this energy. Because, boldness, of course, you need to get the problem fixed, so you want to do it badly. And, squaring Venus, Mars squaring Venus. A little bit of wisdom, a little bit of preference, but knowing when to compromise, knowing when to surrender, knowing when not to surrender, and knowing when not to annoy the professional. Because the worst part of this energy is when no professional wants to work with a certain notorious kind of customer. So that customer around this energy, yeah, it's a week, but they might not. No one will handle them. No one will work with them. Every professional will kind of refuse them because of their Venus. And also the other side of this energy, when you receive a gift, don't look at the price tag. Don't look at the gesture. Look at the morality, the spirituality, you know what I mean. Because criticizing a gift or saying certain words unintendedly can lead to a lot of bad type of misunderstanding, especially because towards the end of the week, the sun is going to be opposing Neptune. Let's clarify the misunderstanding, but I meant this, I meant that, and explanations, and but the sun opposing Neptune also has good side to it, but we'll get to that later on in the horoscope. This is still the beginning of the week. So yes, this is how I see this Venus squaring Mars, and also Mars in Gemini. Sometimes you have to please both sides. There is this tale where, I don't remember it exactly, but I'm gonna tell you the essence of it. So someone had to transport both a cabbage and a goat across a river on a boat. And how does that person do it? Because the cabbage will eat the goat. Oh, there's also a fox who will eat the goat. So a person had to find a way to transport all three, or in certain order where every piece of transport is unharmed in the process, including the cabbage. So yeah. And where I want to go with this is, so both the goat and the cabbage to be in one boat and to be okay with each other. So this is where we have to find the most delicate balance to do the impossible things, if you know what I mean. So balance, a lot of balance, a lot of wisdom, a lot of patience, a lot of understanding, and not speaking before we think, not criticizing, not giving the opinion, how we feel about it, feelings, values, how the value seems to us personally. Let's not say any of these things unless we truly mean them. So let's think before we speak. It's not a strong Mercury aspect, but yet still it is opposing Jupiter, if you know what I mean. This is also Mercury words and Jupiter, different subjective truths. They clash. So this can lead to a lot of misunderstanding. So let's not allow that to happen, because wisdom gets a long way, because Mercury also holds a trine with Mars. And all of this energy that I have been mentioning takes place under the ongoing Uranus-Saturn square. Their square. And this is getting stronger and stronger. 19 degrees Saturn, 18 degrees Uranus. So a strong inner storm, because both planets are retrograde, so mostly inner, where we need to do it. We need to do the big life upgrade, the big life change, the big getting and trying our best to even live and stay outside of our comfort zone, breaking old patterns, fighting with bad habits from returning and toxic patterns. So this energy is very not easy right now because it's internal. I get it. But let's look at the blessings already at the beginning of the week in the sky. Sun in Virgo, trining Uranus. A beautiful energy. Gifts, synchronicities, being brave, being bold, working with the truth, with awareness, with self-knowledge, with pure and honest values, with minimalistic expectancies. You get what I want to say. All of these are gold right now, because even reality bends to a person's, Sun in Virgo, benevolence. This can feel like a lucky energy, but it's not really luck. It's simply benevolence connecting to other benevolence. A connection where true values meet because they attract each other like a magnet. Uranus is the planet of connections, because the ruling planet of Aquarius. A strongly aggressing Saturn right now. But that's also a good thing, because Saturn in Aquarius, old values, old patterns, old obstacles, an old dimension of the social cannot survive anymore. So that means certain obstacles that were there for, let's say, even hundreds of years socially, are no longer there. So the reality that we're living right now is a bit different. It's not as wild and unforgiving as it was. Yet Saturn being aggressed, freedom and excess of freedom is the enemy now, in a literal sense. Because what happens when you unlock the cage in a jail? Stampede. So this conflict between Saturn and Uranus, as hard and as self-restricting as it is teaching us not to stampede ourselves to death at the moment of freedom, at the moment of breakthrough, at the moment of achievement, which is imminent. This year, next year, in 2024, each and every person, what is your moment of breakthrough? What energy in the sky? Because these years are going to be massive. If not one big planet, then the other. If not this energy, then the nodes, then Lilith. So these years are massive. Something will happen. So It doesn't matter if you couldn't change your life and you tried for tens of years. Just give it just a bit more time and you'll. And the radical life change, but it's preparing us exactly for this. Not to stampede ourselves to death, each other, or many parts of our beings, the ego, at the moment of freedom. Because many times the ego breaks. The ego is the prison. Other times, it is exactly our higher self. And I'm so sorry to say this, which is the prison. Because this higher self also has to understand that the world changed and certain measures, gestures, self-sacrifices, gestures of self-flagellation spiritually, psychologically, morally, restricting oneself to starvation, and I'm not necessarily saying bodily, in love, in affection, gestures, intellectually, etc., etc., will no longer give the same protection, elevation, high frequency, purity as it did perhaps 2 years ago, because 2020 changed a lot. It did, really, really did. So those things, Saturn, the ritual doesn't work anymore. Everything needs to readapt to this powerful world change, including religion, including our own rudimentary conceptions of how to do things collectively, and including the profound wisdom of the ancients, which was always pure alchemical gore for thousands of years. The shift of ages is larger than that, I'm afraid. So even their wisdom, parts of it, might be zero at this moment. And all of us spiritualists, truth seekers, religious or non alike, scientific or non alike, spiritual science or empirical science alike, are led to the understanding that maybe new laws, even of how reality works and what wisdom means to us and our species, are being written by us as we speak. Because the old, in so very many ways, does not work, and the old is forced to coexist with the hyper new, which is also not okay, because it's not balance. But that's Aquarius for you. To the dichotomy existing perfectly and not nullifying itself, like matter and antimatter, for some weird, I don't know, circumstances, will not interact with each other in an annihilating sense. Imagine that. So maybe, anyway, I'm going into certain philosophies that perhaps I shouldn't. But Uranus is doing all of this in our lives right now, and this big clash of Saturn and Uranus are preparing us individually for this. Because the retrograde of the two is when it's individual more. So we need to figure stuff out from ourselves, from our lives. And as I said, this is the big lesson here. Things, situations, something that you tried and were ambitious about and failed in the past, because of how society 3D, the world of Capricorn was. World of Capricorn and Taurus, really. The Earth great conjunctions of the past 200 years. The world of Earth was. That's gone now. The energy, because, okay, first it happens in ether, then it happens in matter. So in ether, it's already the new. So in ether, you're already free, and that already collapsed. So this is why the dichotomy. Certain projects, ambitions, goals, dreams, things about you, even the most personal things that failed then will perhaps have a different outcome now. So trying the same thing again once more maybe is not a fool's errand. Because a fool's errand, if it leads to the same outcome, but what if it will not lead anymore to the same outcome, the Schrodinger's cat? And another powerful energy is Mars sextile Chiron. In Mars's home sign. This is healing a lot of mental wounds, misconceptions about the self, Aries, about our capacity, our potential, about everything to do with the self and our future self, mostly desperation. Because right now, all of us might be just a tiny embryo, a little baby. They're no master. Believe me when I say, maybe right now no one's a grandmaster or master of something. Everyone's just a little apprentice. Everyone, because the game changed. So everyone has to relearn even their most profound spiritual lessons, except the Taurian ones, North Node in Taurus and South Node in Scorpio. Minimalistic simplicity, to be happy with what you have, to embrace nature's brilliance and infinite intelligence within. Maybe that is the lesson which doesn't necessarily need to be relearned by those who already embraced it in this incarnation. But everything else needs to be relearned, especially the tough spiritual philosophies. This is where the divine through the Saturn in Aquarius and the imminent Saturn in Pisces is showing us. Maybe us, our kind, and modern mystics through quantum physics have this misconception that the universe is just a software. It is just something we program and master. It doesn't really have a personality or emotions. It's just a simple mirror. It's showing us, no. It does have a personality. And its personality is somehow hell-bent on love. Love. That's what it desires, that's what it wants, that's what it asks, that's the currency, that's everything to it. And we keep telling it that we understand how to manipulate it in quantum physics through our will and stuff like that. And it keeps telling us, but it doesn't care about that. It cares about love. So this is where we also have a dichotomy, that we don't want to listen to what the universe is saying, but then it won't listen to what we are saying. Because with every step we're making, it's demonstrating us that our quantum knowledge and manifestation techniques and all the wisdom of the ancients and even the Babylonian astrologers, the horary astrologers, we know nothing. No one knows anything. We're just little children and it laughs at us. And we think that we're so special and that we hold this knowledge and we can fix and heal things. But really we are totally clueless. And the divine is actually laughing at us, with us. Would be wise enough to, Mars in Gemini, look at it that way. The adolescent spirit of Gemini. Because then it's very fun and educative. But we think that we're above it. Well, that's when we already stepped into deep waters right now and will get burned. Mars X. But on the other hand, how profoundly healing this energy is. Because reality itself, other people, because the divine, what did I go to the divine? The divine is more alive than ever in other people, in people, in the human element, Mars and Gemini, the other, Castor and Pollux. One of the twins was half mortal, and it was still divine. So the divine can live in mortals. Who a person in your life or a total stranger might be the divine right now. So this is where, when people are asking you for help, pay close attention to who is it that is asking you. I'm not saying help, I'm saying just pay close attention. And this energy and other people's words, other people's gestures can be profoundly healing. And also Uranus trine the sun. This means that helping other people is really, really advised. it can lead to the most powerful blessing, if that even makes sense. A state of feeling blessed, both the helper and both the recipient. Helping or doing something positive for another person, sharing your values, and I'm not meaning material, especially moral here, can do so, and helping with your work, helping with your effort. Sun in Virgo, positive words, positive feedback, positive criticism, the love that you share verbally or through your gestures can do miracles this week. Absolutely. So that's a big, and this Mars sextile Chiron, and this aspect will get back when Mars will go retrograde in the sign of Gemini. This is very, very healing. And this healing part of the energy can get stronger when a Neptune opposes the Sun, because that can also mean you finally know, you have clarity, a good and healthy sense of self-worth, so you're fighting the illusions back. But it can also represent a blessing of humbleness, when you embrace all the beauty within yourself and feel blessed for that which you have within yourself and not necessarily outside. This can be profoundly healing for a lot of people, yet profoundly disillusioning for others. Depends how we look at it. Because this can also be a karmic energy, when it's not just us. The Sun opposed, drowned by Neptune. When, the spirit of communion. We might be happy and doing okay in our lives, but if those around us are unhappy and we do nothing to contribute to their happiness, then unhappiness is infectious. Or showing off our strength, talents, all that is good about us, when other people are struggling with theirs, is not an inspiration. That's like the bad thing to do. So there are strong life lessons here of what not to do, of what true humbleness and what true spirit of sacrifice means. So that also means that on the world stage and in our lives individually, we'll also see anti-examples of this, when a person does a good deed for publicity and take credit in it, and oh, I did this and that, look at me, I'm so generous and kind. We'll see that playing out, but that is the fake, because the truly kind-hearted person doesn't care. It lives through the gesture. So all of these are lessons. So you can imagine, for some people these are tears, because some people are going to be drowned by the gratitude of others. Those people who actually act selflessly. So imagine a hard aspect, but playing out in the most beautiful way, drowning in tears of gratitude of others. Or even if you drown in tears of gratitude, that means that the divine touched you one way or another. So this can have such a positive side to it, but then let's get to it. So on my notes I said to go to the 17th of September, because we have the Sun and Neptune opposition, and also the Sun square Moon in Gemini. Not a star at this moment, the square between the Sun and the Moon is not tight, but on the 17th, 18th, it will get tighter. So that adds yet another emotional element to it. And as you can see, at that day, the Moon will be conjunct Mars. So feelings, and especially feelings of towards other people, what others say, what others do, the news, what is ongoing, the media. Feelings can be quite strong and contradictory. And also the Sun squaring Neptune and disillusionment. Yes, this can also be a T square. Disillusionment, the conflicts. You get this, a friend disappoints you, someone gets disappointed, you disappoint yourself, a situation disappoints you. An element of disappointment here. But sometimes it's a positive disappointment, if that even makes sense. This can be facing your fear and seeing that, oh, it wasn't, and it heals you. It wasn't a big deal, it heals you. It gives you courage. Talking through a very, very delicate subject. Something perhaps shameful, perhaps uncomfortable. But the talk, the T square, the tension leads somewhere. It doesn't really need to be separation. Because Mercury retrograde in Libra, a change that both people enact, or an inner change, because this can very well be just you with yourself, with your mind, with your emotional world, with your soul, with your heart. So many elements, with your spirit, so many elements of our being that is there. And at the same time, Mercury opposes Jupiter. Mercury retrograde opposing Jupiter. So this is also an issue of faith, an issue of what it is that you need to do for yourself. Initiations, that which you believe in, what you believe to be the best optimal future for yourself, what you want to live, accomplish, conquer, what is important to you. A very, very self-oriented energy, not necessarily in an egoistic sense, but the self matters very many times. And when the self matters, this is where communication with other people, Mercury and Libra, retrograde. You need to communicate your intentions, your purposes. Will other people help you, support you, distance themselves from you, challenge you, oppose you, offer their help, offer their support? Or will they express theirs? Will an alliance be born out of this? Will something will be born out of this, even if it's a separation, going different ways? It doesn't have to be bad, doomy and gloomy. It doesn't have to be a fight, although Mars and Gemini sometimes mean fist fight. So if you know that you're an impulsive person, or your tongue is fiery and you speak before thinking, then please try to master yourself right now. As a fist fight is possible in some parts of the world, we'll see this in the news probably. Maybe even in the media, where stars and stuff like that, because Chiron is triggered. So when Chiron is triggered, it's also public in Aries. So it doesn't have to be that aggressive. It has to be everyone acknowledging that, okay, we'll have to part terms, but we'll stay friends. Or you're friends and you have an okay relationship with your life, let's say not romantic, but a good friend or a colleague or this or that, and a big opportunity arises in their life or your life where you might have to relocate, let's say. So typical of this Mercury retrograde season, when the news reaches you now in Libra, and then Sun trine Uranus, surprise, you didn't expect it. Anyhow, I have to move away, but it's been an honor. And you can imagine that you will stay friends, but both people will have to accept the situation. But this goes in a marriage, in a situation, in an institution, in a contract. It's been fun and nice and okay, but, or this is where the breakup was imminent. No way, no possible way going back. Surprise, surprise, everyone feels different already. And the breakup is put on hold. Let's give another chance. Uranus, no, there is no way how to tell how Uranus will surprise us. It's impossible. Nadia Shaw always says that with Uranus, just what you ever expect, it's not going to be it. And I have to agree with her. Because I say expect the unexpected. Because you will never ever know. Not Uranus is the planet of astrology, but no astrologer, no living, not living, no human astrologer, or even not human astrologer can outsmart astrology and Uranus. So this is where, as Nadia Shaw says, whatever you think it's gonna be, or you can imagine or brainstorm even what's gonna be, test your imagination and fantasy. It will be it. Even if you're an oracle, even if you're a Uranian, you are not gonna figure this out. The only planet that can help you is Neptune, make you dream it or somehow symbolically get to it. But one thing is dreaming, and when you live it, it's definitely gonna be different than the dream. Just the dream told you, be prepared if you can. And because Neptune opposes the sun, this is when a lot of people are gonna, how should I say, figure out or brainstorm out or happen or whatever what that dream meant. When I say that dream, maybe the dream you had this March, April, May, or a recurring dream you kept having for the past couple of years, because it will activate that Neptune-Jupiter conjunction point. And the sun, the light of your consciousness, you figure it out. Of course, it's wildly different, but this was what the dream meant. So this is how it's going to play out in the lives of a lot of people. And we have another blessing in the sky. Look, Saturn, Mars and Saturn conversing harmoniously. Something being done, something being completed. Gemini can be you taking initiative and will and doing it. But Gemini can be another person, a friend, a brother, sister, a family member. Whoever it is a very, very close person in your life. Together you do it. Or Saturn retrograde many times means remember that favor, the gesture, the help, the loan, the whatever you've done. Let's say this April, this year, the past couple of years, and you even forgot about it. It returns in your life in a way you did not expect it. If you're a professional freelancer, you work with media, you work with communication, you work with the public. Maybe your notoriety will reward you nicely. Because this aspect can means when, remember delayed gratifications? This is when you get it. This is the gratification moment for other people. Still, this is when the gratification is being delayed because you're working on something, helping someone, and you get so immersed into it that you don't care about the gratification at this stage. At this stage, it's personal. When you want to complete it, you want to solve it, you want to help it. For example, that impossible to fix car. At this stage, you don't care about the customer, you don't care about the money, you care about that you are gonna make this car work no matter what. And you won't care about what happens further, but you don't know where your actions, in the most positive sense of course, are gonna lead you to new friends, to new business offers, to new, you don't know, projects, you don't know, but it leads for other people still, as I said. This is where it's this moment. You get the phone call, the email, the text. Remember that work you've done, the car, the email, the whatever it is that you've done. Oh, this is when one way or another the reward comes into play. But any way, shape, sense, and form, yet another expression of this energy is the lived present. Doing it investing time, effort, giving the help is blessed, truly blessed, fruitful. Doing it, investing, going, being there, doing it. If a friend calls you, if, as I said, this Gemini symbol, who is the twin in your life? Everyone has a twin in their life. A best friend, a soulmate, a mom, a dad, a brother, sister, cousin, sibling, your child, even if it's your dog, which I doubt, but there's an invitation. Let's do this. Let's go here. Let's go there. Go. Is it a course? Is it to learn something? Is it to do something? Is it a competition? Is it to prove yourself? A competition? Go with that friend, do it. Is it an inner force that drives you? Do it. There is reward in the air here. Air sign, trine, so of course it's reward in the air. And if you're an artist, social media, communication, everything public, everything on the internet, artistic, goodwill, work-wise, investing into it, doing it, writing it, publishing it, advertising it, will get you a long way. As I said, Mercury retrograde. To launch this brand new is not very advised, but if you have mountains of work behind you to show that which you've already if you're an artist, your exposition or portfolio or whatever it is that you've done, show it. Show it, because this is the moment. Because you've done that. Yeah. So share your rewards, and then we have Venus squaring Mars, but this is where, the square is pretty tight, I must say, but the advice when I spoke in detail about this aspect, standards, emotions, preferences, balance. When we have an option, when we have a preference, of course we think about it and we try to use the best of our wisdom. When it's not in our hands and we have to go with the flow, then we go with the flow. So, this is how we manage that we don't get a lot of frustration, a lot of dissatisfaction, and our opinion doesn't hurt other people. And also, Venus is not very good in the sign of Virgo, according to some astrologers. She cannot bring forward her more idealistic, passion, philosophical, or intense qualities. This is where she's a bit of a B-word. So, but standards, but serving herself, really. But sometimes serving herself is absurd if she is just hell-bent on following standards. But anyway, let's look about Venus trine Uranus. This trine will get stronger as and it will get into next week as well. But exactly, the surprise, when we go with the flow, it can lead us to something beautiful, lucky. This can be a rather fortunate energy, because Venus is the lower benefic. Presents, surprises, something delights us, our work. The energy that we have invested into a work, into a gift, into helping someone, effort invested to a greater good, rewards us emotionally in any way, shape, and form. So yeah, this is delightful. Romantic surprises, romantic gestures go a long way. This is when the partner, even if it's like not a new relation, your partner, your wife, husband, really appreciate your kisses, your cuddle, the hug, the walk, the flower, the chocolate, the breakfast. Why? Because this is an earth trine. the express gestures of love go a long way. They are appreciated. The hearts, the I love yous, the sticky notes, the poetry, whatever, what you and your partner usually used to do together. Like, even if it's like a bad habit, but if it delighted both of your souls, like, let me give you a naughty example. Both you and your partner are living a really healthy lifestyle right now, but in order to get into a nostalgic mood of when you were younger, you smoke a cigarette or you smoke pot. I don't know. Don't get me, I'm not encouraging anyone. But how many people don't do this when they're young, especially couples? So, do something naughty for the sheer memory of it. And it can lead to a profoundly romantic night and a period. Or, let's say your parents and your children went back to school and you have all this spare time for you and your partner, and you clean or do something in the children's area or room and just sit down and play with their toys and make fun of them, the children, when they're not there. This is something which adds to another romantic aspect where you and your partner are immersed into a dimension of your own, and the world outside and all the problems with it don't matter whatsoever. Imagine the healing, imagine the fun, imagine the Venus Uranus trine. You could not expect a simple thing like that to be so fun and therapeutic. And anything to do with nature, walking in nature, working in a garden, working outside, outdoor activities is absolutely included in this, especially if Uranus and Venus together. If it connects you, if it's an invitation, if your heart of heart feels like it, if you feel so inspired to help the old lady next door clean the dried leaves or whatever, gestures like these are highly encouraged. But, as I said, if the old lady just moved there next door, and this is Mercury retrograde, and Sun opposing Neptune, Mercury opposing Jupiter, maybe this is when you will get to the truth that it's better off to never ever to bother that particular old lady with kind gestures ever again in your life. Humor, ultimately, how you take this. You can be offended to the deep core of your soul, or you can just laugh. Okay, so there are that kind of elderly people as well. Okay, big life lesson here. But ultimately, don't regret any kind gestures, because 99% of them will lead you the good way. And even the ones who don't, as I said, the wisdom of them. Venus also trines, especially right now, Venus trines the North Node. Again, don't tell me this isn't a good energy. Because Venus is the ruling planet of the Taurus, the host sign of the North Node. So, Venus sextiling the South Node. So, this is not a bad energy. This is a really, really good energy where gestures, help, kindness, Venusian stuff, true values of the heart, are leading you to something really positive on the long term. Even romantically, anything that has to do with artistic things, nature, land, property, investing, your garden, your future lifestyle, holistic stuff, medicine, your body, the future of your body, beauty, aesthetics. real estate, figuring out calculations, with money, Virgo stuff, this costs, that, and investments, and how it's gonna look like in 5 months, in 6 months, all of this is encouraged, and you might get progress with all of this week. But remember, Mercury retrograde, the info data is in course of progress of being downloaded. This is how you should take the whole Mercury retrograde season, this, where yes, elements are downloaded. You have this calculation, that calculation, this price, that price. You can compare. This friend gave you this list, that friend that list. Okay, but wait until, I would actually advise, if possible, the mid of October, when the drawing board is there and you make the PowerPoint with the statistics of how does reality look like with your investment, with whatever it is you're trying to figure out, or even if it's romantic. Don't commit now. Wait until your partner finishes, even in nature energy. The peacock, the spider, name whatever species you want. The male has to finish his dance, his show, his song, his whatever he's doing. The female won't jump into his lap after 2 seconds. Let the male, or the partner. Sometimes the male is the female in a relationship, in the sense that it's exactly the wife who wants to do this. The wife who is in control. The wife's plans. The wife's this and that. So in that case, the wife is the male. So sometimes, in order for the wife to make 10 trillion% sure that the husband is following the plans, doing his job, he's pleased, he's satisfied, passionate, motivated, it is the wife who does the peacock's dance, or the jumping male spider's dance to the husband. That, are you satisfied? Yes, you are. Yes, I am. All good then, kiss, and this is such an energy during this week, where whoever of the partner is in this energetically, emotionally, the male will dance and will impress the other partner, and the other partner will act all impressed, and this is the best side of the energy. The worst side of the energy is, well, the sun does trine Pluto. And if this Mars square Venus energy leads to the separation of partners, well, this can be another person immediately jumping in, and you had your fight at 5 o'clock, and you're in a new relationship at 10 o'clock in the evening. Now, if this is wise or not, I don't know. You be the judge of that. But this might be the case for some people. The best possible outcome is when you fight with the partner at 3 o'clock, and at 10 o'clock you're in heaven together, and you're already in the world of your own. Whatever it is that you're doing, and however you got to this state, that's the blessing in your life. And definitely it is the positive that will last, and who knows what future plans will be born out of your whatever it is that you do at 10 o'clock. If you dream together, or if you watch a movie together, or if you have a good conversation or something more physical, future plans and activities are going to be born of it. And the sun trine Pluto, powerful attraction. You are attractive, your plans are attractive, your modus operandi is attractive, your mind is attractive. Use this energy, because professionally, it's good. It is good. Even under Mercury retrograde, you're doing it. Solutions are working. Your patience is paying off. There are sponsors, when there's a project, sometimes the state, the European, in my culture, for example, the European Union is the sponsor. Your project is accepted. Your project, the core is good, but you need to change this and that and that and that. And that's good news because you're already changing it. You're already back to the drawing board. The fact is that your project was accepted and you get a lot of money. Or you get money to hire whoever it is that you need in your local community to help you out. For project-based stuff, this is a good period, to be totally honest with you, even if you need to go back to the drawing board. And romantically, this can also be a good energy. But the way I see this, Uranus does surprise you, but maybe the surprise that, well, your future partner is going to be that person who was in your life for the past 10 months, 2 years, 3 years, and you love that person absolutely, but you never thought about them that way. As because they're a professional, they're your, I don't know, baker, massage therapist, accountant, lawyer, whatever, because that's why you didn't think about the relationship in that. But anyway, things will happen, so perhaps let's not allow the squares and the not so favorable part of this energy to, make take us into our reverse expression, the Sun opposing Neptune. Neither let's not allow the disappointments and the nitty-gritty and the I thought or our own moods or our own inner Sun opposing Neptune, self-victimization, the inner victim, the inner moods, and sometimes the hormones. Sometimes our melatonin is drowning us and we don't even know it. Sometimes the depression is just caused that we need to get out in nature and do something, physical activity, and the blood chemistry will change in our bodies. Get into oxygen, as in out there, maybe even into rain. Get dirty, do something, commune with nature, with physical, and that will change the blood chemistry in your brain. If you've been abstinent for the past how many months and you're in a depression or spiritually you're just drowned, do I understand me telepathically what the next step is, because the body has its own chemistry and we don't live in the Middle Ages when there were no electricity influencing us, because electricity is the influence of the spirit, but in that way, shape, and form, which we can't control it. Neither yoga, neither name crystals, neither whatever you want is not a counter measure for the disturbance that electricity represents spiritually. But when I say spiritually, to the quite physical components of us, the chakras, the energies, the electromagnetic field of the brain and the heart, electricity profoundly disturbs that. And the depression is ongoing. If you live in a flat, you're in prison. You're okay with that because you're adaptable. Hey, I'm adaptable. You're intelligent. That lifestyle is so suited for you, for your ego, for even, let's say, to your soul, let's say. Yeah, absolutely. But there's also a primordial self. There's also instinct. There's also mental sphere. There's also chakras. There's also ethereal body. What if something inside of you says, listen, I need to be out there because I have a wild side. And if you try to suffocate that, I'll suffocate you. You don't know what the deepest part of your being desires. Sometimes the depression is not caught. You fixed all the karma and energy that you live in a flat and you have no idea. And the answers are no astrologer, no therapist, no hypnotherapist can help you. Why? Because the answer is under your nose. A lifestyle change, which you think you despise, and surprise, surprise, you despise the cure. Our beings sometimes are so complex that the answer is something so ridiculous that it was there all along. And you can be a grand master in psychology, in astrology, in philosophy, PhD, doctor of doctors. That doesn't mean that that simple little thing in your life which was there all along, you'll see everything else but not that. This is sometimes the journey of the alchemist. What matters is the moment when we do get there, when we are kicked out from our comfort zones, from our bad prison, mental state, depressive state, emotional state. We're kicked out, and wow, so that was the problem. This is one of those moments, this is one of those energies. And sometimes, as I say, the depression is just blood chemistry, the hormones. And hormones don't care about what we believe in. The hormones don't care that we're a monk, that spiritually we committed this and that. Hormones don't care about anything. Let's be wise and give all parts of our being in a very balanced way what they need. So, and I said, sometimes hormones need you to live a week in the countryside or in a tent even. And that is so profoundly healing that it will fix you up. What does healing mean to you right now? The answer is in the deepest part of your instincts. And your dreams are the only gateway. What does your dreams tell you to heal? How do you want to heal? Is it going to a place? To the sea? To the mountain? To a certain place? Is it living an adventure, living something? What is the key to healing for you? Because right now it can get to your awareness. So this is where, as I said, let's embrace the healing potential. Let's embrace the alchemical potential of this energy, because the sky speaks, our soul speaks, even the mind speaks. Let's listen. The body speaks. What do we crave? The body speaks to us right now very, very, very directly, strongly. At the beginning of the week, you remember the sun twinkling Saturn? Saturn, the body speaks to us. Would be wise enough to listen. Good things happen this week and all throughout the year. Body-wise, health-wise, whatever it is that we accomplish, this is something really positive meant to stay with us. And as I point to the fact, it can be very, very healing. But we need to take initiative. We need to take step. We need to stop the toxic mindset. We need to stop the bad self-talk. We need to stop bringing ourselves down, writing negatively about ourselves. We need to put a lot of effort into kindness, the kindness of how we present ourselves. Because right now we also need to give a bit of a respite, a rest, a treat, a reward, even to the Caesar, to the earthly, to the ego if one wants to understand, but the healthy ego, just your human self who worked hard, for example, or when there's healing, embrace it. And as I said, the Sun trine Pluto, a really, really, really powerful empowerment, a psychological empowerment, a truth that empowers you, a person that empowers you, a love that empowers you, a friend that empowers you, someone entering in your life that empowers you. There is a very strong energy in the sky. So problem and triggering there is similarly there because the sun opposing Neptune. Triggers are gonna be there, yeah. But there is also a lot of help and a lot of positive. And as I said, Mercury retrograde, a lot of accomplishment can be done in a lot of ways. But be careful with what you do, the gesture, the word, the reaction. Think before you act. So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for all the love, all the support, all the kindness. Thank you for keeping me alive. Until next time, bye for now.